Hello and welcome back. This episode being a bit late, let's get started. We open up on a moisture farm where the Pike Syndicate is exchanging credits for what is most likely spice. To set the scene, you have a moisture farm, you have a land speeder. Pikes are exchanging with pikes. One has a case of credits, the other has a mysterious little box that probably most likely spice. We see Cobb Vanth pulling up on the deal. He's saying he is now the marshal of most Pelgo's territories, and he does not want any spice near here. We're already starting with a very Old West vibe, which I'm a huge Western fan, so, I love the tone of this scene already. He offers to let them leave as long as they don't do any business in his territory. The Pikes try to pull a fast one and sneak attack, but Cobb, being the badass that he is, kills 3 out of the 4 of them. He tells the Pike that he left alive to take the credits and leave the chest, the Pike says that the chest is probably worth more than his entire town, which Cobb jokingly says, well, maybe I'll retire. The Pike leaves, and Cobb kicks open the chest, revealing that it is in fact spice, and it is falling away to the wind as he kicks it over and it whisks away. I've always liked Cobb Vanth, even from when we first saw him in The Mandalorian. I think he's a cool character. He's definitely a man of morals, and I truly believe that he does care about what is actually happening in his town and his territories. So, off to a good start with this episode so far. We see the Naboo starfighter leaving hyperspace as it flies towards a very green planet. R2-D2 guides the Mando into landing. The Mando says he's looking for Skywalker, and Grogu as well. R2 leads Mando through a bamboo-looking forest as we come up on some androids carrying around rocks and other building material through the forest. The ants appear to be building what looks like a small temple. R2 just kind of shuts down after that. Mando's a little frustrated, saying, hey, take me to Luke. I need to see Luke. But in the meantime, the little ant robots build a little bench for Mando to wait upon. As we kind of lead through the forest, the music's very calm, meditative. Upon a hill in the distance, we see Luke and Grogu meditating. As Jedis do, meditation is kind of part of their thing. While they are meditating, Grogu is kind of playing with frogs and trying to eat them. He's a little brat like that. As he does that, Luke himself pulls up all the frogs out of the lake. I guess is just to kind of show what the Force can do instead of just playing, even though Luke is still kind of playing with the same frogs that Grogu was. So I don't really see the lesson here, because well, look what I can do just in a greater power than you, but you can't do it. Or you're not supposed to do it, I should say. The way Luke looks in this, I think he actually does look really good. The team that did the face reconstruction to make it look like Mark Hamill, and even the voice, it looks really good. Although with that technology, it kind of scares me a little bit, because you never know. In the future, they could just be like, oh, you said this and you said that, and they could just make a fake video of you doing something that, meh. But anyway, I digress. Luke and Grogu go for a walk through the forest after they get up from meditating. Luke is helping Grogu walk, he's kind of pulling him with the Force, hopping along as they walk through the bamboo forest. Luke tells Grogu of how he reminds him of his old teacher, Master Yoda. Just kind of how Master Yoda spoke in riddles, kind of look like him. Luke asks Grogu if he remembers anything about back home. Grogu he looks confused, maybe a little hesitant almost. Then Luke just kind of goes in for it, and using the Force, he kind of takes Grogu back into time, and we see Grogu actually experience what happened at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. Probably pretty traumatizing to see that again, because I think, timeline-wise, Grogu was actually a baby then. They start back up with their training. We go back to Mando. Mando's waiting on the bench, just kind of sleeping, hanging out. We hear a breakstick. It's Ahsoka. I'm always really happy to see Ahsoka. I mean, I'm a Kimmy Dawson fan, so, and then seeing her as Ahsoka, it just makes me smile. I think she looks great, and I just like it. Mando is kind of surprised to see her. because I don't think he knew about the relationship that Ahsoka's had with the Skywalker, so jokingly she says, I'm an old friend of the family. Mando's kind of curious on why R2 brought him to see Ahsoka and not Luke and Grogu, which Ahsoka just kind of explains to him, R2 did this on purpose. And as we see Ahsoka and Mando walk through the forest, they come up on a hill where Luke and Grogu are training, a little off in the distance. Ahsoka is telling Mando that Grogu does miss him, but seeing him would only cause him more pain. And I think Mando does understand that, and I think Mando is just trying to do his best for Grogu, and he wants him to still train with Luke. And so, he does what he needs to do, and he just gives a little gift that we talked about in last episode to Ahsoka to give to Grogu. Mando leaves the planet. We go back to Grogu training with Luke, and we're just kind of getting into, I think, the beginning of his training. We see Grogu kind of jump. He fails. It's because he sucks. We get the whole Yoda in the backpack kind of scene from Empire Strikes Back, except Grogu's in a backpack. They're running and jumping through the forest as Luke is explaining what the Force is to Grogu. And as we get that wonderful, well-known John Williams score. It's beautiful. I love it. Gives me goosebumps every time. As you know, Grogu's training, doing his thing, and then we see Luke ignite his lightsaber. Luke kind of swings it around, and then he just kills Grogu. No, I'm just kidding. Then we see that Grogu starts playing with the training remote. You'll recognize that from A New Hope. When they were on the way to Alderaan. And Obi-Wan is trying to help Luke kind of figure out what the Force is and train him a little bit. It's that kind of same training remote. Grogu gets blasted a few times, which I like. And then we get another montage of Grogu training, jumping, spinning, and all of that fun stuff. Ahsoka shows up as Grogu breaks the training remote. Luke somehow knew the Mandalorian was there, as Ahsoka gives Luke the gift that was for Grogu. Luke is kind of in a bind, a little confused. Like, he wants to train Grogu to be a Jedi, but I think he also knows that Grogu kind of longs to be with the Mandalorian. So there's that kind of inner struggle that he's going through right now. Not sure what to do. This leads us back to Tatooine, my favorite planet. Mando lands the Naboo starfighter at Jabba's palace. He is greeted by the Gamorrean guard, as he tells the guard Fennec has requested him to be there. We see the crew, BK, the modders, Boba Fett, Fennec. They're all kind of gathered around this little holomap of Mos Espa, talking about the plan for the war on the syndicates. And hey, this is the first time we've seen Boba in 1.5 episodes, so I guess we're back to the Book of Boba Fett, done with the Mandalorian. As Fennec says that they're kind of worried about foot soldiers for the whole little war thing, Mando chimes in and is like, he has the answer. Goes to a little scene with the Jawas with the big old sand dragon skull and the sand crawler. I don't know how they got it up there. That thing has to weigh more than anything they could ever pick up with any amount of technology that they have, I swear. Mando lands in the town of Mos Pelego. A kind of rough-looking man tell him, you gotta park your ship out there. Mando says he's looking for Cobb. Cobb shows up and greets Mando. They head inside for a little drink. Mando's kind of explaining the situation on how they need soldiers, for the whole thing, and that they'll pay them handsomely. Then we get the whole, why should we care about your war? And then Mando's like, well, it'll eventually come to Mos Pelego, which is interrupted by someone shouting, Freetown, which, what is it? That's such a stupid name. I'm sorry, that's just lazy. It's like, the episode of The Boondocks when, Robert Freeman's gonna, he goes and introduces himself to that, the white guy who owns the entire town, and the white guy's just like, free man? It's like, that's how they name their town. They're like, we're a free town? Anyway, people in the bar want nothing to do with this war. Cobb kind of is like, I'll see what I can do. Mando leaves and kind of hear wind chimes going off, and we see a figure walking in from the desert. Kind of a mirage, wavy kind of thing going on. Cobb tells everyone, hey, get everyone inside. I'll handle this. Now we get kind of a high noon, middle of the street scene, you know, like wow 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 kind of thing. You know, two cowboys squaring up. I really like that. The figure walks closer. He says, "Cobb Vanth." And as he lifts his head, exposing his face, we get our first look at Cad Bane in the flesh. We get the live action look. I think he looks pretty good. I've heard a lot of people not really liking the way he looks, which, I mean, you gotta understand, the Clone Wars is like like an artist's rendition of this character, and this is a live action version. He's also like really old for that species. Like, I think most of that alien species doesn't live to be like over 60, and at this point he has to be like 80, 90 years old. So he's ancient for that species. So him walking around, he's doing pretty good. Cad Bane tells Cobb to butt out of this war, and nothing will happen to him or his village, and that Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer, and you want nothing to do with him. Cobb, being Cobb, doesn't back down, tells Cad Bane and his syndicate to pack up and leave. And here we get the quick draw scene. Both reaching for their guns. Tensions rising. The deputy from earlier makes a stupid move, tries to shoot his gun, gets hit 3 times in the chest, as well as Cobb. So Cobb's there just dying. Cad just comes up and says, "Stay out of this and you'll be left alone." And that's it. Is Cobb dead? We don't know, but he was left lying there, presumably dead. Cut back to Garsa Fwip's sanctuary. You know, we see the lively bar doing bar things. See a couple Pikes enter and sit at a table. You know, just kind of sitting. They don't do anything. They're offered services, and they decline it. Then they just get up and leave. A droid comes up and says, "Hey, you left your Camtono bag," and boom, the sanctuary blows up. So, you know, this is basically a hit piece. You know, we're going to blow them up for trying to go against it. Luke and Grogu are sitting together. Luke pulls out the little gift that the Mandalorian brought for him. He's kind of giving him like, here, this is what you can have. But before he does, he pulls out Yoda's lightsaber. I'm not sure how he got this. Maybe there's something that I'm missing from a comic I didn't read or something like that on how Luke got Yoda's lightsaber. Because I thought Yoda lost it in episode 3, like right after Palpatine just beat him. I thought he dropped it and then fleed. So, who knows how he got that. Luke basically gives him a choice between the gift, which, if you choose the gift, you will go back to Mando, but you will forsaken all your Jedi training. But if you choose the lightsaber, Luke will train and become a Jedi. And that's where it ends. This episode was directed by Dave Filoni. My thoughts on this episode are, I don't know, I think this is like the best one so far. And I think that's just because Dave Filoni had like a lot more influence on this one. I don't know. Just going from like planet to planet, seeing more than just Tatooine, kind of having a few different stories going on at the same time, really made it feel like Star Wars to me. But this was the only episode so far. I'm not really too excited about the season finale. The season finale is next. Only 7 episodes. Well, stay tuned for that video. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, comment down below if you liked it or didn't like it. I like feedback either way. Have a good night. Peace.